Okay, I can
I
see.
see.
Come on, Techie. Come on, fix this light. It's
So you can do that when you got Bay in the corner, in your corner. You can do
okay.
that. Mhm.
We're here. Hey, y'all.
Hey,
Oh,
everybody.
goodness.
All right.
Yes.
So we just had our Teddy Riley and Babyface.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what my
Yeah.
husband was just saying.
But you know what? It's all right. It's all right.
That's right.
We can wipe that off and keep rolling. That's what great people do.
That's right. Exactly.
I just want to thank everybody for coming in. Thank you to, let's do a little housekeeping, a little Robin. We see you. I got some amazing people like Leslie and Priscilla and Troy jumping on. So all of you, feel free to ask us questions, talk to us. We are here on the heart to have a heart-to-heart with the amazing Syndy B. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
So
But
much
you're
for
going to get my
joining
name
today.
right now. It's Syndy B.
Syndy B. That's what I
Cindy.
said. Sydney.
Sydney.
You know
Sydney
what?
like everybody else.
I was watching right before this. I was watching a horror movie, and it was, on those scary movies, the lead character is Sydney. So
Uh-huh.
maybe that's what. I apologize.
No, everybody does it. Hey, Reese. Everybody does it because it's spelled with an S. So, yeah, everybody. You're
Well,
not alone. Don't worry.
I promise it won't happen again. Well, thank you for joining us. What were you doing right before you got on today?
Oh, I was in mommy duties. I was outside with the kids, looking just like this.
Nothing wrong with it.
So I could spend every minute until I had to jump inside.
You are looking Corona chic, so that is all right. Well, like I said earlier, I did a little research. Reese is on, and you two were on the same flyer.
Yes.
2017.
Yes, and that's my girl.
Crystal.
I don't get to see her often, but we clicked right away, and that's my girl from afar.
I love it. I love it. Well, you both have amazing energy. I can tell already. So it's going to be a great interview. The relationship coach. How did you jump into being a relationship coach?
Well, for me, I've been coaching people since I was in high school. I remember my parents actually sat me down one day and was like, Syndy, you cannot help everyone. Like, cut it out already. But I didn't step into it until much later. I was a wedding coordinator for a long time. And so I got to work with couples, of course, and their families, but on another side. And after I saw I just knew they were walking into struggles right away, walking down the aisle into struggles. And then some who didn't make it very long. I just realized that I wanted to spend more time getting couples ready for the marriage, not just the wedding. So I decided it's time to step in to your calling.
Well, that's awesome. And that's where the Unbroken Experience came from.
Exactly. So I started when Reese and I met. I was launching my own bridal show. So I wasn't just a vendor in it or coming by. I launched my own bridal show, and I called it the Wedding Union Unbroken Experience.
Love it.
And it was a huge success. And so then I just cut the wedding part to not exclude people, and turned my whole, rebranded my whole business into coaching, and just dropped the wedding part. And there you have the Unbroken Experience.
Well,
because we want families to remain unbroken, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That is the goal.
Yes.
You were spot on when you started it, though. I mean, the Control Magazine, I work with them, and the thought now that's going into bridal, we noticed that there's not a lot of pictures of Black weddings, like professional pictures.
Yes.
The only thing you can find online, if you want some footage, is actual weddings. Like the professional wedding photos just aren't there. There's a whole market industry for Black couples and for the relationships right there. So you were spot on. So you saw into the future.
Hey, I do what I can do.
You do what you can do. Well, you saw into your own future because you are now in a successful marriage. And how many years has it been now?
This year it'll be 10 years in December. December 18th will be 10 years.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Ryan.
Yes, that's Ryan.
To him too, on both sides, right?
That's right.
your two amazing kids. Doesn't Zay have a birthday today?
Today, 10 years old.
10
10
years
years
old,
old.
barking. Oh, so I know
Oh,
what that means.
oh, I
10
don't know
years,
what
10
that
years
means.
later. Mhm.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, hey. Hey.
Put
Oh,
that
and
together,
there's a
put that right
chapter
together.
about that in my book, too. There's a chapter about that in my book.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You
But
got that down. I see.
I'll give you guys a little teaser. I was 5 months pregnant when I met my husband.
Ooh, I love that.
Yes.
Ooh, that is good.
Yes.
That's juicy.
Yeah, a little juicy teaser.
How is it? Because there are so many people who are going to be watching and who will watch this now and later. They may have questions. But I
Right.
know one of the things that people have to ask always is, I'm successful. I have a lot going on. I'm working on one thing or another. Could be that you're already pregnant. Could be that you have
Sure.
a business. Could be that you have an amazing career. How is it that you can find any time to meet somebody and get to a point where you actually say yes?
Oh, people make time. Now there are some people who are the more introverted and they can get real comfortable staying in their own space, but they gotta get out.
Hmm.
I was talking with this on an IG live the other day. I'm not a fan of online dating, but hey, it might work, for some. But I am a fan of joining organizations that you're passionate about or that's in your profession, because then you meet people not necessarily doing the same thing that you're doing, but
Yes.
they're kind of in the same places, and so you kind of at least on some kind of wavelength. Or my husband and I met at a birthday dinner, a
Hmm.
surprise birthday dinner. I like to dine out. I love visiting restaurants. So whatever it is that you
Yes.
love to do that. And if you're an introvert, find something that you're passionate about, whether it's volunteering or something like that, because it goes with your day to day. You're not trying to go places and do things that you really can't keep up. And that
That's good.
way you can make some time.
That's smart. That's good
Hmm.
advice.
Yeah.
How did you manage the balance of dating your potential future
Right.
husband and carrying a child? How was that?
Ooh, I think for me it was it was pretty smooth. I am a person that time manages very well.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, it's just and also by this time, by the time I was expecting Isaiah, I had gotten to a very different place in my life, and I very much prioritized my self-care. So whatever it is that makes Syndy happy is non-negotiable. So
Right.
I need peace up here. I need peace up here so that everybody else can have some peace too.
I know that's
So
right.
yeah, so I enjoy working. I enjoy being a mom. I enjoy being a wife. I enjoy being a friend. And I just, prioritize it the way that, whatever, everything goes in my calendar though. A lot, everything. If it doesn't,
It might not happen, right?
yeah, it'll come back. I always call it the mental Rolodex. I don't forget anything, but I got to wait till it comes back around again.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I understand
Yeah,
completely.
yeah.
Much to that, you were talking about your friendships and that you are a friend. You
Hmm.
have friends still from all the way back in college, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So tell me
Oh,
about how it was growing up as a young lady who was finding her way.
oh.
How were you in college? Where'd you go, first of all? I know you were in Northern Virginia, but where'd you go?
Okay, so I'm from Virginia, but I went to Spelman.
Ah,
Yes,
yes.
I went to Spelman, and my roommates. So the dorm that I was in, the floor that we were on was I happened to be. Of course, it would be me. I always say, all my life I had to fight. Just I don't get it easy. But I happened to be in the one room on the floor where it was five to a room,
Mm.
5 to a room. And those of you who don't know, Spelman is a all girls college, and those are my sisters to this day. We
I
are
love that.
extremely close. We talk on a group text every single day. They're like, the one few group of girls that I'll go on a girls trip with no hesitation. No
Yes.
need to talk about rules and who's staying with who or anything like that.
So you've been there,
But
done that.
oh my gosh, yes. Back in my college days, obviously being in the AUC was some of the best times of my life. But in my book, I also talk about, my book is called While Walking in My Stilettos. And I'll tell
Yes.
you where that title came from later. But it was a struggle. I was 17 years old when I moved out here to Atlanta. And Spelman, there's a lot of elite, they come from, some good financial backgrounds. And that was not my case. And so I had to work. I was out here financially on my own outside of this, except for the student aid, financial aid that my mother took out.
Mm.
And gosh, between evictions, walking to work or taking a 2-hour bus drive to work and a 2-hour bus drive back home for a drive. If I had a car, it would have only been 15 minutes.
Ooh, yes.
It was a struggle to make it, to make it here. But I do recall knowing that I was going to make it. When my dad found out that I was out here struggling, because I didn't tell anybody, but he found out because one of my best friends went to Morehouse, and he told, and my dad called. He said, "Baby girl, pack up your stuff. Me and your Uncle Marty, we're coming down there to get you. And we got a job lined up at home." And I told my dad, I said, "Daddy, I've never talked back to you." I said, "But if you come down here, I'm either not going to be home, or I'm not going to answer the door."
Come on now.
He was hot though. He was hot. he was, because I think at that time, this was probably my sophomore year at Spelman. And so I was only maybe 19. So he could still get mad at me, and I'd be like, "Ooh."
Right.
But he ended up calling me back later, and he said, "I get it. I get it." And I said, "I promise you, if it gets too bad where I can't handle it, I'll come home."
Yes.
But I was determined. I was going to make it. But it was a struggle. It was a struggle.
Well, I'm just glad that you had that determination, because the woman that we see now is so strong and vibrant. How did you keep your energy up throughout those toughest of times?
Well, I'll say first and foremost, my parents had planted a foundation in me. So, for those who don't have that and don't come from that, I think for me, I consciously stayed around people that were progressive. One of my closest friends that I met, during that time, 10 years older than I was always with her. And she would teach me, how she brought me into womanhood. My mommy taught me how to be a lady, but she taught me into womanhood, how to carry myself, how a man should treat you, how you are to, when you're handling your business. So find somebody, I don't care who it is. And like I said, I believe in joining organizations. I really do. Because the right organizations, some reputable, credible organizations, because you begin to meet people and you don't realize it's making you grow and it's changing you for the better. And then you just keep getting better. That doesn't mean that you won't continue to make mistakes, but you'll just keep getting better until you keep wanting to do better. And then when you get to that point where you want to do better and want to be better, then you're off and running for sure.
I know that's right. I know that's right. What's the toughest thing that you've had to deal with during this particular time, that the balance of being a mother, a business owner, a radio show host, where you saw the real grind of it? What's the toughest challenge that you've come across?
So for a period of time, I worked from home. I was pretty much what I call a working stay-at-home mom, which is what I am now, but nowhere near the same. I mean, I pretty much could, my background is banking and finance. So I had a really great, what was supposed to be a side gig that ended up being so lucrative. I was like, this is the lick right here. I can't get rid of this. But anyway, so I would, do my little work, be done, bring home a good paycheck and be great. But what ended up happening was that company, after a couple of years, ended up closing that division for, legal purposes on their own, and we all dispersed. And I was able to do the same thing contract wise later, but it just was not the same pay, at all. And then, but I was running my husband's business as a personal trainer.
Awesome.
And the gym that he was training his clients out of, without any notice, close the gym, and then it was going to turn into a Crunch Fitness, which is a
Mhm.
totally different dynamic. And we had to move clients around last minute, and some didn't want to drive 5 miles up, the street to the new one. It was a devastation for us financially. And so then that's when I started picking up weddings more and doing that more. And during that time, after I did the bridal show and things started just really growing, I started getting really busy.
Mhm.
And but still, because I have the traditional side, I'm very independent, very driven, and all that kind of stuff. But I also have a lot of traditional, women in me.
Yes.
And so I was busy, like super busy, because one, it was new. All this new business was new. So you're trying to figure that out and put systems in place. I'm still trying
Right.
to be a mom, but I'm still trying to cook. I'm still trying to clean.
The
And
balance.
I just remember saying, I'm overwhelmed to myself one day. And I
Mm.
came to my husband and I said, babe, I need help. And
Mm.
for me, that was big because I was just always so used to just doing, and not really asking for help. And so when he was like, what you need me to do? And at the time, all I needed him to do was, can you just empty the dishes out of the dishwasher and put them away? Like that would be
Yes.
so helpful. So it started off as something
Wow.
like that, when then later turned into where for a minute, for about a couple years, he was more of the cook of the house. And really my point is I was able to lean on him so that I could find the balance. And
Mm.
then I'm like, okay, now we're not going to go back to I'm the only one cooking and cleaning all day.
Yes.
But, there's now we can find our rhythm with this new path, this new life that we have and transition, from there.
That's a good point because as society's changing and as our culture's changing, we're seeing a lot of relationship roles switching.
Yes.
How do you talk to couples who come to you and say, well, we don't even have a set rhythm. We don't have a dynamic that's working because I'm used to being an independent woman. He's used to
Mhm.
being an independent man. We're clashing here. We're clashing there. What do you coach or counsel the people that
Mhm.
come to you?
Well, first, somebody's balance in one home can be totally different in another home. So the first, thing is to find out where's their happy place. If you could snap
Mhm.
your fingers and find and tell me, I would be so happy if
Mm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 took place, right?
That's
And
good.
then and get it from both. What is your happy place? It may not can happen. It may not be reasonable, but at least we have a starting point of what you feel inside that you have not shared with your significant other because maybe you feel like they won't want to do it, or
Yes.
maybe you just like me that you just weren't used to asking for help and they'd be glad to help you, but you just didn't ask. So that's the first thing I like to say, ask, where is your happy place? If you could just snap your fingers, what would it look like? What would it
That's
look
good.
like? Yeah. And so then we just take it from there and break it down into actionable, tasks that we can meet those goals. And then it's working on replacing, making them behavioral instead of habit. Because habits, you can kind of go back and forth. So we've got
Yes.
to make them more behavioral, and then they can get into their rhythm.
You know, I definitely agree. That is like spot on, step by step. You definitely have had to tell somebody that before.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and relationships are funny. You're trying to figure out so many things at one time. Little things can spark you, especially when you're in quarantine with somebody. You're up under them more times than you probably would have been. What's
Mhm.
the silliest fight or argument that you've had recently?
Oh, um, mm, we honestly we don't.
10 years,
We
you've gotten
don't.
good, huh?
It's now I'll say this. It's not the years because you can be together 15, 20 years and be at each other's throats.
That's
For
true.
for me, it was I have overcome so much that I'm so thankful for a second chance at
Mhm.
family and at life that what would bother a lot of people, it just doesn't get to me, number one. And number two, I study my husband, and I know his triggers, I know his points, I know how to get him to hear me, and so if I see that something could go completely left, I'm like, okay, we're here.
Right.
We're not trying to go there. And one of my key things that I will say to him is this where we're going? Like, is this where we're going?
Like, okay.
And so it's like triggers, like, nah, I really don't want to go there. Like it is not even like
This
it's not even important, right? This is silly,
Right.
And we talked about that the other day. Just being able to allow each other to reach each other. Like you have to, like, in the beginning, and you come and you see whomever you're dating, you've had a bad day, and they're like, it'll be all right.
Yes.
Thank you. Then you get 10 years in the game, and you're like, it'll be all right. Like, no, it won't be all right, because XYZ is like, well, dang, I won't say nothing, but we have to choose to allow the other person to reach us and bring us back.
That is so good. I feel like when you've talked to someone for a while, and like you said, time isn't always a factor, but it can play a role in this, that when you've been together a while, sometimes someone becomes too familiar.
Yeah.
And like you were saying early on, their words would soothe you, but you have to later on, because you become that familiar, you have to choose to allow those words to impact you the same way. How does someone who's right now, because you've been in your relationship for a while, how does someone who right now is thinking about love and on that hunt and really out there and saying, look, I'm getting older, like you mentioned about your own life, like you got that second chance, like, Lord, I need a second, third, fourth, fifth chance. What do you say to someone who is struggling with believing that love is possible right now?
Oh gosh. One, if they're in a space like that, you do need help. You need help because you are not feeling that way because of something, your day went wrong. It goes back. It can go back to a toxic relationship. And then when you look at that toxic relationship, it was probably toxic because of something that happened in your childhood, that either you allowed something to take place that shouldn't have, or maybe you were the toxic one because of something. So it goes back, it's rooted.
That's good.
You've got to seek help, whether it's a psychologist, a therapist, or a coach, or whomever it is. You've got to get professional help to retrain your thinking. You have to retrain your thinking to know that you deserve love. Like you dope. Like I deserve love, but not just that I have a lot of love to give,
Yes.
Yeah. So but most importantly, you have to know how to receive love and what it looks like to you.
I love that. Like how to receive love and what it looks like to you. That takes a lot of self-awareness because you have to know you got to know your own filter.
Yes.
You got to know how you filter things. And
Yes.
when things are said, how you receive it. Because one person saying something to someone could be love, and the same words could be animosity or anxiety. So you got to know yourself.
Yes, and I say it's gotta I always say when something is not a fit for me that I just don't have that capacity. Like I don't have it, and I'm okay. I know what they are, and I'm okay with saying I'm not built for that. I'm like I'm not built for that. And that's okay, but you have to know what that is. You have to know what that is so that you don't get into relationships that you shouldn't be in. It doesn't mean that the other person is a bad person. It's just not a fit for you. Why would I be in a relationship with someone who's gone all the time? I know that I'm not built for that. That I'm not, and but there's some people who are.
Right.
So
they
you just
prefer that.
Yes, right. So you have to know your capacity. One, you have to know yourself, and get dive deep. And that takes help. That's a lot of times that takes help because a lot of times we can blame other people for relationships gone wrong, but we've got to take some ownership. But if you don't even see that, it's going to always be the problem. Everyone else was the problem, you know. And it
Yes.
doesn't mean that you were the problem. It's just that you have a lot more searching to do so that you can receive love and also know what love looks like to you.
I love that. Right. I want to jump into your book a little bit, but right before that, I want to take the question that one of our viewers posted. And that was about, can a person brand themselves as a husband or wife material? And if so, how? How can they brand themselves husband or wife material, and how? Now, I will say,
Ooh.
I'm going to give this to you because this is all
Okay.
you. But I
Okay.
had someone make a post recently, and they were going off about people that make comments about single people who show their body all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And their comment was, you can't judge them. You don't know what they're going through. They're not just seeking attention. Everybody's seeking attention. And so to that point, I agree. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
posting, you want somebody to like it. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel like, knowing that they're not a person that's a fitness trainer, they're not a model, they just happen to like to post their body all the time, do you feel like that is a brand, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then we'll answer this person's question about, can you be a brand, and can you brand yourself as husband wife material?
Um, I don't like the word branding when it
Mhm.
comes to, this kind of relationship. But what I can say is this: if you want to be a wife, you have to move like one,
Mhm.
right? It has to become who you are, not a facade, not a, you know, let me put on like a wife, but like it has to be who you are, and I think there's some people who, and I'll use his word or her word, that brand themselves. They are amazing girlfriends,
Mm.
amazing boyfriends,
Wow.
but
Yes.
they are not ready for a husband to be a husband or a wife, and that's the reason why they are not.
Mm.
I'll give an example of one of my close friends who she can pull them, she can pull them, and she
You
can
got
get
the
in a
hook and the
relationship.
bait, huh?
She got it. But she never gets past. She'll be the girlfriend, but then she won't be for long. And
Mm.
I told her one day, I said, you don't move the way that a man is set up. The men, from my experience, majority, not everybody, but the type of man that she likes is built this way. The way that you move is too mysterious for a man. Like,
Mm.
you are in and out of town, flying here and there. Nobody knows what your job really is. And then we laugh at this. So if she
No,
sees this, she knows. But we really don't know. Like, if someone asked me today, now this was a conversation years ago, like, I was like, I really don't. I think she assistant to
she like
some,
Tommy on Martin.
right, exactly. But traveling all over the world, okay? I'm like, put a sister on. Like, is there a job that I need to know about? But I tell her, you can't move like that, because a man has to be able to trust
Mm.
you, before you could even get to that part of talking about marriage or children or anything, like that. And that's just one example. But if you want to be a husband or a wife, you do have to move that way. So if it's branding, sure, if you want to use that word.
Mm.
Now, I did tell my younger sister some years ago, and don't nobody come for me now. When it comes to weight, that's such
Yeah.
a challenging conversation to have in relationships.
Yes.
But it's necessary, you guys. Like, if you got with someone as a certain size, it could be small or bigger, and then they lose or gain significant weight, it's different. So you don't know. Like, you don't know. Like, I would not want don't come for me, but I would not want my husband becoming overweight. Like, I
Uh-huh.
would not want that. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't love him, respect him. That doesn't mean I'm about to step out on him, but that's not my happy place.
I get it.
And even we have conversations. Like, even today I said, babe, you need to go cut that hair and shave. This is,
Right.
and I
Because
told him,
quarantine,
yes,
give me
the
a little, I'll give you a little
quarantine.
leave.
Oh, yes. And I said, and I done seen this all I've seen is sweatshirts all week. I said, I need you to go put on some clothes for me, and we're gonna hang out after my interview.
I love that.
So you have to be able to have that conversation, even if it's like uncomfortable. Just know that it's coming from a good place. If your husband or your wife comes to you with something like that, and you know without a shadow of a doubt that they love you, well, they're not trying to hurt you. But they
Right.
are trying to like make sure that they're happy as well. That you're healthy. One, health. You don't want to be too skinny. You don't want to be too thick. We don't know we don't know whether what tomorrow brings, but if we're not feeding and nurturing ourselves the way that we should, we ain't helping it. Plus, I do want to look at you and be like, yeah, boo.
I know, right? Well,
Yeah.
I have an interesting way of thinking about that, because I think if in a relationship, like you're married, so you're one. That's
Mhm.
the thought, is that you're one. So think about how you think about yourself. Like when
Right.
you get some extra pounds, you
Right.
look at yourself and you feel a little uncomfortable when you see it.
Right. Like
You don't
if
feel
they
like
brought
yourself.
that to you, you was already thinking about it. Now come on now. Now you want to be mad at them for bringing something to you that you already were thinking about.
Exactly. It's
Like,
not your
stop
fault.
it. Just stop it.
Just a bearer of bad. You just reflect. You're just a mirror. You just
Right.
reflecting back what they already know. But
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
have to take care of yourself. That is so true. And
Yeah.
one of the ways I can see that you've really done a great job of taking care of yourself is being able to tell your story, and that's through your new book, Walking in
Mhm.
Stilettos. I want you to tell us a little bit about what brought that into being.
Well, for many years, for those who know me and know my story, and then sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times when I talk to people for the first time, especially when I was in my late 20s, maybe
Mhm.
early 30s, and sometimes I look like I'm still 19 years old. So
You
if
do.
I'm, if I'm talking to someone older and then they hear everything that's coming out of my brain, they're like, whoa, I did not expect that at all. And so I've been told for a long time, you got to write a book, got to write a book. And I'm like, about what? Right. And I wasn't sure, because there's some things that take place in your life that you may have healed from.
Yes.
But if you bring that person's, even not, you don't even have to bring up their name, but they know
Mhm.
they're talking about you, and to them, they're not ready for it. So, you got to think about that kind of stuff. But anyway, while walking in my stilettos came about 4 years ago, the title by itself came to me
Mhm.
because I love me a pair of stilettos. And so, I mean, for a minute, I didn't even own a pair of sneakers.
Mhm.
And definitely didn't wear any flats unless I wore flip flops to the beach. That was it. I love stilettos. But the symbolism behind it is, how a woman feels when she puts them on. Her back arches straight. She struts into place, commanding attention without having to say a word. Um, and she just walks with poise and elegance.
Mhm.
The guys, the men, they know how they feel when they see a beautiful woman walking in with her stilettos, walking confidently
Yes.
and, owning the room. But in actuality, a lot of times they hurt. They hurt. But we continue on walking in those shoes, feet hurting anyway, until
Mhm.
we can get to a safe place to remove them, change our shoes or whatever. So the point is, all the challenges that we face, we have to walk in those challenges with
Mhm.
with style and grace and poise and dignity and class and all the words that go along with that, so that we're not planting bad seeds that we have to harvest during times where we've changed. So for example, you planting bad seeds because of bad choices, right?
Yes.
Making bad choices or emotional choices that are not conducive to anything positive. Then flash forward 5 years down the line, and you're like, I got it. Like I'm in my zone, but you gotta pull up them seeds. Those seeds are gonna grow. And so you're
Yes.
trying to live your best life 5 years later, and a demon or something come back from 5 years ago. And that's not what you want.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
want to, we're all gonna face challenges. We might be in them now, coming through them, or, they may come later, but we've got to, in those challenges, walk a certain way through it so that we're not planting bad seeds that we have to harvest down the line. So that's there, the collection of stories of my experiences to show how, these things happened to me, but I didn't have to do A, B, and C or cut somebody down or nothing wrong with being on the pole, but I didn't have to go to the pole, but I'm not knocking it. But if you want to go to the pole, to sell drugs, whatever, I didn't have to do any of that.
Right.
And definitely the key one is tearing other people down. I didn't have to do any of that. And then there are a couple stories in there from when I was younger, people that I didn't get a chance to apologize to for hurting them. I was young. It was like 7th grade, but they stuck with me. They were memorable experiences that taught me how to be a better person. Like, oh, that was wrong. And I never got a chance to apologize to them. And so I didn't name any names outside of those individuals, in the book, because it's not about a tell-all or nothing like that. It's not that at all. It's just simply, let me tell you some of my most memorable experiences throughout the course of my life and how they, transpired and how you can get through them too without damaging your future road ahead.
I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
wow.
you're welcome.
That's killer. I can't wait to dive deeper into it. And it just came out. We're telling everybody where they can find it.
So you can go to I believe it's on my website. You can definitely go to my Instagram and purchase. It is on ebook live on Amazon for probably just a few days until, they release the paperback. And then
awesome.
Then we're good. We're rolling.
All systems go. Where else can we find you?
TheSyndyB.com. And like I always say on my radio show, spell my name right.
That's right.
SYNDY, TheSyndyB.com. Same thing on Instagram, TheSyndyB. Facebook is TheSyndyB. My personal page is Syndy Buchanan. Everything is Syndy B or Syndy Buchanan. That's, try to keep it simple. Or the UnbrokenExperience.com. You can go there, leads to the same place.
Syndy, you are amazing. Thank you for being such a light in this crazy world, for giving so much love into the universe. And I really send that back to you. I pray the best for you. In fact, do you mind as we close off? I'm doing this now where we close off with a small prayer for you. Is that all right?
Ooh, yes. When we do it. Yes, please. Yes, I'm ready.
Let's go. Father of love, of all that is and is to come, we thank you for what you have brought us through and how you are bringing us to something greater. Take my sister right now. Touch her family, even on her son's birthday, and allow the spirit of love to embody everything that they have going on in that house. Lord, allow increase, provision, book sales to take off in your name. Thank you for the lives it will touch now. Thank you for the energy that you will pour back into her to allow her to do greater work. Thank you for what you are causing to happen in the universe because she is present. I thank you for her presence, and I pray that you use her more mightily and greater for days to come. Thank you for this connection, and we pray for greater days to come. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Byron. I follow you, and you are an amazing light as well, especially to come from a man and especially to come from a Black man. We need so much of everything that you do. So just keep on keeping on. And thank you so much for having me.
You inspired me too. Thank you for being on it. We'll stay connected. We're both in Atlanta, so we got to do some things when this is all over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to jump back on and watch my girl next.
That's right.
So I'll stay tuned in. Thank you again.
Right. Take care. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.